Government article for women. We cordially invite all for today's webinar. First of all, I would like to call Dr. Inola Richelli Paravada. Please welcome us.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Literature mirrors the ages. It reflects the lives of human beings. It is the garden of wisdom, history of nations, and it is nothing but truth. Similarly, literary theory is a kaleidoscope through which one can visualize myriad colors of literary texts from different and various perspectives. And it is actually high time to listen to a special address in on literary theories and application of theories in research articles. First of all, I would like to welcome our the most respected and beloved principal, Dr. D. Lakshmi, to this webinar. She is the guiding star of our college. Thank you, ma'am. A source of inspiration, a person with excellent dynamism and exuberance. She motivates and supports us in all our endeavors. I can say, yes, chemistry works out well with English. I'm happy to welcome you, madam. I would like to welcome Dr. G.S. Angelin, head of the Department of English. She is the propeller of our department. She renders her sustaining supports with energetic zeal to conduct webinars like this. Welcome, madam. And I'd like to welcome the special speaker, Dr. Rajaram, Assistant Professor of English of our college, who is going to enlighten us with his eloquent speech on literary theories and applications of theories in research articles. Welcome, sir. And I welcome Dr. K.M. Sumati, one of the coordinators of this webinar. She extends her valuable supports for the successful conduct of this program. Welcome, Dr. K.M. Sumati. And I'm delightful in welcoming the faculty members of our department, students from our college, and other participants from various institutions. And I welcome you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the Department of English, I'd like to call our beloved principal, Dr. Lakshmi ma'am, to deliver the president's syllabus. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon to all. I am very happy to deliver this address for this meeting. Literary theory is a systematic study of the nature of the literature and the methods for literary analysis. The very basic way of considering literary theory is these ideas have different lenses through which the critics perceive and talk about art, literature, and even culture. These lenses allow the critics to deem and view the works of art with certain schools of assumption. In other words, it is the body of ideas and it formulates the relationship between the author and the work. It enhances the importance of race, class, and gender study. It traces the history and evolution of certain classical genres like narrative, dramatic, and lyric, and the recently emerged genres like novels and short stories. It's quite interesting to study these theories and apply them in research. I hope this lecture on this topic will facilitate the students to have a better understanding of literary theories to pursue their research successfully. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to deliver this
Thank you, ma'am.
presidential address.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is an apt time to introduce our today's webinar speaker, Dr. M. Rajaram. Sir is a versatile and vibrant speaker of literary theory. He has organized many conferences, workshops, national and international seminars. He has published more than 16 research journals. And he has published 5 books. He has published 12 research articles. And he has published the Tansky textbook Communication Skills for UG students of Tamil Nadu. He went to UK from September 2014 to January 2015 as a part of the study abroad program of the government of Tamil Nadu. And he received many awards: Asian Education Award for contribution to education community, Vocational Service Award presented by Lions Club, Leo Club Centennial Sponsorship Extension Award presented by Lions Clubs International, and has been working as an assistant professor of English more than 26 years. And he is the asset of our department and our college. We have fortunate to have Sir as resource person for today's webinar on Introduction to Literary Theories and Application of Literary Theories in Research Articles. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm happy to be here. Respected Principal Madam, who has been a source of inspiration for the teachers and the students of our college, who is a daughter of this soil, and who has been a great source of inspiration for many researchers in our college. Private head of the department, Dr. Angeline Madam, who is the convener of this program. Respected coordinators, Dr. Enola Madam and respected Dr. K.M. Sumadi Madam. The person who has introduced me and is going to give Dr. M. Saktivel, who has been a good friend to me for my dear organizing committee members, faculty members and students from our college and other institutions. It's really a great privilege for me to be part of this first one-day seminar to be held by our institution, by our department for this academic year 2022. And the topic of research which I'm going to talk about is on the introduction to literary theories and application of literary theories in research articles. I was asked by Dr. Enola Madam to and the other faculty members to give an introduction to our students regarding the literary theories and motivate them to write research articles in journals. In fact, all of us know that M.V.M. research journal is one of the renowned research journals that is published in our district and in government arts colleges also. So I was just on the verge of preparing my research like a presentation, and suddenly all of a sudden when the coordinator, Dr. Enola, approached our head of the department and also on the principal of our college, they just wanted it to be conducted as an intercollegiate program and to be converted into webinar. In this juncture, I would like to thank our principal and the head of the department and the coordinators for making it come this big. Thank you so much, madam. So this literary theories, or we can say the fifth form, we can say the fifth form of fifth genre of writing. We can say like poetry, like prose, like drama, and like a novel. Literary criticism and literary theories have emerged as the fifth pillar of English literature. And I have just divided, I've just made my presentation into two divisions. One is to introduce you to literary theories, and the second one is to tell you on the application of research literary theories in research articles. And our principal in her introduction has given a wonderful eye opener for all of us regarding literary theories. It is how we look into things. It is like what lens we are using to look into a text. It is like talking about different perspectives that we are going to use for our presentation, for our evaluation, for our examination, right? And what are the different lenses we are going to use? That means what are the literary theories we are going to apply for identifying, for examining, for evaluating a text. Literary text is what we are going to see today. So what is literary theory? Literary theory, it has different strategies used by different writers in order to examine a literary text. So we can say in a very academic way, we can say it is a strategy to examine literary text, literary theory. There are different literary theories starting from which starts from 300th century BC, and it is continuing till now. And the literary critics have used different strategies to evaluate writings and writers. So one such theory is followed by another form of theory. These theories are formed according to the mindset of the people, and also on the type of texts that are produced, and it also involves the sociological and psychological impact the writings have produced. And these ideas act as the different spectacles, as our madam said, to analyze art. Not only for literature, it is used for to analyze the art, literature, and also the culture. There are for this purpose we have got different school of thoughts, which we'll be discussing in the slides to come by. And what is actually it is? It is an application of diverse knowledge and perspectives to yield multiple interpretation of literature. Actually, to examine is to interpret. To interpret is to bring out the salient features of a literary text. So this is a picture. This is pictorial. It is represented. Literary theory is a lens, and the way we look into it, the text gives us the exact outcome of what the text is about. And this picture is even more vivid, that you can easily understand. Literary theory and criticism, because there is different perspectives when you are reading literary text. For example, I will have a different perspective because my schema or my background is different. You will have a different perspective because your schema is different. When a literary text is being looked into by our principal, she's having a science background, and she will have a different idea about the text. So what are the different perspectives we are peeping into a text is something that matters than anything else. There is more than one way to read a book. Each different perspective or lens that we look through the different school of literary theory and criticism. So whatever lens we use a different lens, it becomes a different perspective. It becomes a different school of thought, different school of criticism. These lenses determine what stands out to readers as notable and most important to be analyzed. We read through different lenses to offer ourselves the opportunity to look at a text. And what is literary criticism? Literary criticism. We just had an idea about literary theory in the previous slide. Now we are going to have a look at the literary criticism. What is literary criticism? Literary theory and literary criticism are interdependent, but they are different. Literary criticism compares, analyzes, interprets, and evaluates the work of literature. And literary theories will offer you suggestions how to compare, how to analyze, how to interpret, and how to evaluate the works of literature. Literary criticism is essentially an opinion supported by evidence related to theme, style setting, or historical or political context. Whatever the context is, it examines it evaluates based on the opinion supported by evidence. If we don't have an evidence, we cannot criticize. So if you are criticizing something, it should be based on evidences. That is what literary criticism is all about. It is related to the theme, it is related to the style, it is related to the setting, and it is related to the historical or political context. And what is it all about? It usually includes discussion of the works, content, and integrates your research ideas with other insights gained from the research. Literary criticism may have a positive or negative bias. It might be biased because nothing can be unbiased. Everything will be biased, as it also holds good in literary criticism. Literary criticism may have a positive or negative bias, and maybe a study of an individual piece of literature or an author's body of work. D.H. Lawrence has a different idea about criticism, even like literary criticism can be no more than a recent account of the feeling produced upon the critic by the book he is criticizing. So what is the impact the book makes on a critic is what criticism is all about. And the literary criticism should be balanced and it should not be biased. This is what is needed in most of literary criticism. If we say this is a literary criticism, and what is not literary criticism? What is not literary criticism? Literary criticism is not a plot summary, is not a biography of an author, or it is not simply finding fault with the literature as such. So literary criticism is not a plot summary, it's not a biography, it is not simply finding fault with the literature. The criticism actually has a negative connotation, but actually it also has a positive connotation. It has a neutral connotation also. So criticism here, literary criticism has a neutral connotation. This is what it is all about. And what is the purpose of literary criticism? Literary criticism. So we know what is literary criticism, what is not literary criticism. We'll just move into what is the purpose of literary criticism. Literary criticism is researching, reading, and writing works of literary criticism to make better sense of the work. And it forms judgments about literature. It gives ideas from different point of view. And when I'm just moving into the later slides, I'll just give a thought about how a text can be viewed from different point of view, or how a different lens can be used to view a particular text. For example, different school of theory can be applied in a single text. This is how we are going to discuss the later slides. It is also used to determine on an individual level whether a literary work is worth reading or it is not worth reading. So we are based on that, we can see whether a text is worth reading or not. Literary criticism versus literary theory. What is the difference between literary criticism and literary theory? Literary criticism, as if I've given introduction to literary theories, and I'm given an introduction to literary theories. And what is literary criticism and what is literary theory, we know. And Where does it start from? It starts from, when you talk about literary movements, it has two, the two basics of literary movements are literary criticism and literary theories. Without literary theories and literary criticism, you cannot evaluate, you cannot find a true form of literary work. For example, you can see from Arnold's touchstone method, you can see that to have an idea about, sorry, whether the text is worth reading or is it trash, you have to have this kind of literary theories and literary criticism. Literary theory is a systematic study. It's a nature of literature. It's a method of analyzing literature. It's more general than abstract. It is an umbrella term for a variety of scholarly approach. This is what you call as literary theories. And what is literary criticism? It's a study of literature, and it is used to evaluate literature. It's an interpretation of literature and practical application of literary theory. And if literary theory is theory, criticism is practical. This is what it says. Literary criticism is the study, evaluation, and interpretation of theory. We see action here. Literary theory is a different framework used to evaluate, interpret a particular work. This is passive, whereas literary criticism is active, as far as the work that is going to be done is concerned. And it is, you can say, practical versus theoretical. What is practical? Literary criticism is practical. Literary theory is theoretical, as the title itself suggests. So literary criticism versus literary theory, it's all interdependent. The application of the theory is practical. The application of literary theory is literary criticism. And literary criticism is the practical application of literary theory. Literary theory is a combination of nature and function of literature and the relation of text to its author, reader, and society. So whatever you bring out as a theory should be examined by using the literary criticism. And you can say literary theory has its reflection on the literary criticism. And literary theory, like when you can see a renowned scientist who jumped out of his bathtub and ran saying, crying Eureka and Eureka, and whatever he thought was theory. And when he went to the lab and he found our theory applied to a particular form, it becomes practical. Likewise, literary theory is theoretical, literary criticism is practical. And after that, now I hope that I have given a sufficient introduction to literary criticism and theory, and I will just move to the literary timeline, like how the evaluation, the evolution of literary theories. When did it start, and how it moved into various forms of literary theories, and what are the current literary theories that are used. Those things we are going to see in the next few slides. Like this gives the timeline of literary theory. It started with classical theory. It was in 400 BC to 400 AD. After 400 AD to 1400 AD, it was medieval literature, medieval theory, and it was followed by Renaissance and neoclassical theory between 1500 to 1700 AD. And after 1500 to 1700 AD, we have 1750 to 1850, the Romantic theory. And from 1870s, like only after Romantic theory emerged, new forms of literary theories emerged. Like you had Marxism, you had formalism, you had psychoanalysis, and you had formalism, you had Marxism and psychoanalysis. And for Marxism had its branch in neo-criticism or new criticism, which is functioning till now. And the person who started this neo-criticism movement is Foucault and Greenblatt. And formalism as its branch to Russian formalism. You have got the semiotics there, Formalism has another two types of branches, which is new criticism and structuralism. Structuralism is being proposed by Claude Lévi-Strauss, Jacobson, and Lacan, and it was further. It had further deviations from structuralism. They talked about Claude Lévi-Strauss and Jacobson and Lacan. All those three theorists had propounded another thing which is called post-structuralism. They talked about structuralism and after in post-structuralism, and we have got the modern Freud coming into existence through deconstruction. That started from 1960s to the present. We have got Paul Deman and Jacques Derrida there. And the other thing that is associated with structuralism is postmodernism. It started in the late 1970s, and it is in existence till now. It has been proposed by Rhetoric and Jameson. And new criticism had two branches coming out. One is cultural studies and the reader's response theory. Again, you've got Stanley Fish, by Roland Barthes, who propounded this reader response theory. Then you have a post-colonialism. Gayatri Spivak and Edward Said were the leading post-colonialists. And you got gender studies, where you got Lynn Showalter is there, Butler is there, Pisova is there, and you have new aestheticism, which is not a very upcoming field of literary theory, but it is of different literary theory, different form that is being used by very few. Maybe because it is one of the latest theories that is used right now. And yeah, from gender studies, you've got two different types of theories emerging from gender studies. One is queer theory, which has been proposed by Butler, and feminist theory. And you have Turtle, Armstrong, and Sedgwick. These are the people who are closely associated with feminist theories. This is how timeline looks as such. And we'll just move to what are the timelines. There are certain theories that have overcome a lot of spaces that have overcome the time, and they are still existent. These theories are still used in a lot of critical evaluations. And those theories are, you can say, moral criticism, dramatic construction. It's all constructive theories. Dramatic construction started in 360 BC. And even now, you can see criticism involving moral criticism and dramatic construction. And the next one is formalism, new criticism, neo-Aristotelian criticism, that is from 1930s to the present. And you've got psychoanalytic criticism or Jungian criticism from 1930s to the present. You've got Marxist criticism, which started in 1930s and still continuing. As far as as long as the working class exists, the Marxist criticism will never fade away. You've got reader response theory, which started in 1960s and it is continuing till present. You can see a lot of criticism coming up in the form of reader response. You've got structuralism, post semiotics started in 1920s and it is continuing till present. And post-structuralism and deconstruction, it evolved in 1966 by Paul Deman, and it was actually co-founded by Jacques Derrida. It started in 1966 and continues till now. Neo-historicism and cultural studies in 1980s till now. Post-colonial criticism, 1990s till present. Feminist criticism, 1960s till now. Gender and queer studies, 1970s till now. Also have a new form of criticism, this eco-criticism, which is followed by ecofeminism that is happening right now. And the other picture shows how it evolved from the Greeks, how it moved to the how it was taken up by Plato, and how it was followed by Aristotle in 384 BC to 322 BC, and how it was taken up by Horace in 65 BC, and it was followed by Longinus in the 1st century AD, and then by Dante in the 1200s, and Philip Sidney in 1554. And after that, we have got the latest critical theories into existence. And analyzing literary fiction or literary works through critical lenses, a lot of critical lenses, as I have told you. And I'm just going to introduce you to literary and cultural theory, how literary and cultural theory are being explored using different literary theories. Okay, for a literary, you can even say literary criticism, like literary and cultural theory, which is, for example, we'll start with Marxist. How does a Marxist critic look into literary theory? He looks into the literary theory, so societal conflict within a text, proliterate exploited by bourgeois. So it talks about the sufferings of the working class and how it is being exploited by the bourgeois people. And the feminist, our feminists will look into it. The feminist critic will examine female representations, female suppressions, and condemn patriarchal constraints. And the LGBT, that is queer theory, exposes homophobia and homosexuality, which is otherwise called as queer theory. And how does a psychoanalytic critic talk about? Yeah, the psychoanalytic critic focuses on the unconscious mind and the deeper meaning of the text. That is what you call as author's intent and non-intent, and the reactors, the readers or reactors interpretation. It is otherwise called as Freudian. So Freud is totally psychology, psychoanalyst. So this type of analysis also deals with psychoanalytical way of reading into a text. The next one is cultural materialistic. It looks into the hegemonial appreciation and exploitation, and it includes the Marxism and leftism into this cultural and materialistic thing. Materialistic means whenever you talk about materialistic, you have Marxist tendency also there. And it was followed by, next we will see postmodernist. And postmodernist critic focuses on the challenges of text having a single motive, single narrative, and encourages paradox, fragmentation, and mixed genre. And post-colonialist represents the cultures and celebrates hybridity. And the next one is liberal humanist. It talks about the truth of human. It looks into the text in a way of sympathy and empathy. And you have got neo-historicist who understands the context of writing and reading with the contemporary literary, contemporary societal ideas. Okay, and seen different schools of criticism, and we'll literary theory and criticism. We'll in the next few slides we'll see how these literary theories can be classified into. These literary theories can be mainly classified into 4 different schools. They are textual, reader-based, contextual, and author-based. Like text-based means if you are criticizing something based on the philology or rhetoric or formalistic, or we are talking about the form, or we are for identification of structuralism, and I employ the new criticism as proposed by J.C. ransom. We are talking about, if we are talking about semiotics and deconstruction, these are all based on the text. Philology is based on text. Rhetoric is based on text. Formalism, when we talk about the formal form, it talks about text. When you talk about structure, it talks about text. When we discuss new criticism, J.C. Ransom wishes us to suggests us to have a deeper instruction on the text-based ideas. And we have got semiotics. If you move into the semiotics, the language-based, it is on the text and deconstruction. Construction it's not against destruction, it is against reading into the reading between the lines, it's deconstruction. So it is also text-based. The next one is reader-based. It's a reception theory. How a reader is receiving the text, how the reader is receiving the novel, how the reader is receiving the ideas of a poem. This is what reader reception theory, and it is reader based. And reception history, it shows how a reader is mainly how a reader has a historical background. For example, if a reader is from a northeastern province of India, his idea of culture is different from the idea that is proposed in Tamil Nadu. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we have got our culture, our own cultural identification. If North Indian, if a person from Jammu Kashmir or Punjab reads something that is written as far as a writer from Tamil Nadu is concerned, if there is a cultural if you cannot identify culturally, there will be identification of the particular reader about something that is discussed in the novel or literary work with what happens in his or her own province. That shows his historical cultural ideas. That is what you call as reception history, and that is based on his reader. And we have got reader response theory. How a reader responds to a text is reader response theory. Third one is contextual. The third one is contextual, and contextual thing is based on, for example, if you read on the literary history, if you interpret on literary history, it is contextual based. And if you are reading a text based on the characters, for example, so if there is a character who is very poor and is being exploited by a rich capitalist, and you interpret that idea into your text, you call it as Marxist literary idea, and it becomes Marxist. It also talks about the context of the work. And feminist, how a woman is or a woman or characters of womenhood treated in a text, it is also context based. Neo-historicism and cultural studies is also a point which is used as far as this cultural thing is concerned. And the next one is author based. If criticism is based on the biographical or autobiographical element of a particular author, it is biographical criticism. It comes under the author category. Psychoanalytic, it dwells into it, deeply jumps, it deeply dives and delves into the author's mind and tries to bring out what the author intends to say. And it is also called as author-based criticism. Next one is phenomenology, which is also the phenomenon which has made the author think about that. It's also author-based. And in literary criticism, we can map literary criticism. What do literary theories, where do literary theories fall? Author's world, when the author is talking about historical and biographical background, and you can have author's life impacted there, and it is seen in the work itself, and you can understand it through the reader response. is psychological thing, is symbolic and archetypal, and real world, it's mimetic, which is for post-colonial. You got post-colonial, feminist, minority, Marxist, etc. Through when that is reflection on the real world, and formalist and deconstructionist theory can also be there. And when something is when the text is compared or contrasted with other genre or other forms of literature, it becomes intertextual. And actually, nowadays, contemporary research, it has got its own ideas. Like gone are those days where we talk about old forms of form criticism based on form, touchstone method. All those things are gone. Now we have got only a few, maybe 7 or 9 or even 10, maybe at the maximum 10 theories that are being employed nowadays by literary critics for their research, as far as academic research is concerned. And we'll have a look into what those theories are that has been used for academic research. The first one is psychoanalysis. Second one is feminism, reader response theory, structuralism, deconstruction, post-colonialism, postmodernism, eco-criticism, and eco-feminism, or different types that are used right now. So what is psychoanalysis, and what is feminism, and other forms we are going to have a look at it. So what is psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis is, as I've already told, it has been formulated by Freud, and it argues that in literary texts literary texts are like dreams, and they express secret, unconscious desires and anxieties of the author. And the literary work is a manifestation of author's own ideas that are function, that make the author bring out his ideas through his works. It's a brainchild of the author. So the psychoanalysis recommends to interpret the text to find out actually what the author has in its psychological way of presentation. Second one is feminism. We all are very much aware of what feminist thing is, because it is one of the most popular form of literary criticism that is going on right now. Feminist literature in fiction and non-fiction, drama or poetry, whatever genre it is, suppose the feminist goals of defining, establishing, and defending equal civil, political, economic rights for women, social rights for women, which they actually deserve to get. Next one is reader response theory. How a reader responds to a particular work, and how this theory focus attention on primarily on the author and the content and the form of the work. And next one is structuralism. Structuralism is a method of interpreting, analyzing the language, literature, and society, which focus on contrast ideas and elements of structure and attempts to show how they relate to the whole structure. So it talks about the structure of the work, literary work. And we have got deconstruction in the line. Deconstruction doesn't actually mean demolition, as I told you already. Doesn't mean demolition. It is breaking down. Demolition is a little different from breaking down. It is breaking down and or analyzing something to discover its true significance, which is supposedly almost never exactly the author intended. Actually, the author's intention must have been different, but without his knowledge, without his conscious effort, the text would reveal some other ideas which we can identify. That is how we can do a deconstructive criticism. Next one is post-colonialism. Post-colonialism is a broad study that talks about the effects of colonization, colonialism, and cultures in society. And it talks about the struggle for ethnic, cultural, and political autonomy, and the growing awareness of overlap and hybridity. Hybridity is how it, like we have, hybridity is nothing but we have got seeds of brinjal, we have got seeds of hybrid brinjal. It is something that that is not, that might be brinjal, but it is something that is produced on like base that cannot 100% be a brinjal, but it has the qualities of a brinjal. You can have hybrid tomato, you have got hybrid potato. Likewise, hybrid form of literature is there. You've got postmodern literature, and it is the form that is characterized by the use of metafiction, unreliable narration, self-reflexivity, intertextuality, and which thematizes both historical and political issues. It also talks about magic realism and things like that. And here you would have a little doubt how postmodernism is different from modernism. How post-colonialism is different from post-colonialism. Eco-criticism and ecofeminism, we'll discuss it later. We'll see the difference between postmodernism and modernism, which is followed by post-colonialism and what is the difference between post-colonialism and colonialism and postmodernism. What is modernism? Modernism, which was the age in which modernism was prevalent, is between 19th century to the early 20th century. And even now in your syllabus, you will have modern literature 1, modern literature 2, modern literature 3. Likewise, it belongs to the age of modern period, where modern literature was existence. Postmodern literature was prevalent from the mid 20th century, which influenced modern literature. Modernism was influenced by the First World War. Postmodernism was influenced by the Second World War. And modernism was based on using rational and logical means to gain knowledge, since it rejected realism. And postmodernism was based on unscientific, irrational thought process, and it rejected logical thinking. Whatever you think, you can write. That is why it supports magic realism. It supports something that is more than realistic. So it is it rejected logic. Modernism rejected realism. Postmodernism rejected logical thinking, and modernism rejected the conventional styles of prose and poetry. Postmodernism deliberately uses a mixture of conventional styles. It uses conventional styles. When you say conventional styles, it is pre-modernism. So what is pre-modernism? What is modernism and postmodernism? This fourth point makes us think, makes us move into we should have a better idea about pre-modernism, modernism, and postmodernism. What is pre-modernism? Metaphysically, epistemologically, through human nature, through ethics, through political and socio-political elements, and when and where it happened is what we are going to see. Pre-modernism. Pre-modernism is realism and supernaturalism as far as metaphysical point of view is concerned. Modernism is realism and naturalism. Postmodernism is anti-realism. Epistemology, mysticism, and modernism is objectivism, and postmodernism is social subjectivism. Human nature, it talks about the virginal sin subject to God's will. The next one is tabula rasa and autonomy. Tabula rasa is nothingness. And postmodernism talks about social conflicts, social construction and conflict. Ethics, pre-modernism, it is collectivism, individualism, and collectivism and equality to everyone is what postmodernism about. Socio-political and when and where. When and where it made pre-modernism is during medieval period. Modernism is during the 20th century, and late 20th century in humanities and related professions, we had postmodernism. And actually, what are the characteristics of postmodernism? Characteristics of postmodernism are irony, playfulness, black humor, pastiche, intertextuality, metafiction, temporal distortion, technoculture, hyper reality, sense of paranoia, maximalism and minimalism, faction and fabulation, magic realism, and skepticism towards all meta narratives. And now, what is post-colonial literature? What post-colonial literature versus colonial literature? Colonial literature is literature written during the colonization using colonies. Post-colonial literature is written after after achieving independence. Colonial literature often writes from the perspective of the colonizer, and post-colonial literature is written from the perspective of the former colonized. Colonial literature portrays colonization as a natural, unproblematic, often correct process. And post-colonial literature portrays the problems and consequences of colonization and decolonization. Colonial literature often portrays indigenous people and culture savage or primitive. And post-colonial literature attempts to describe indigenous people and places and practices to counteract the stereotypical images portrayed by the colonizers. And what this post-colonization depends on? What are the main features of post-colonization? The otherness, resistance, hybridity. Otherness is defined as a lack of identification with some part of one's personality or one's community. It is related, it is related to the impossibility to reconstitute their past, or even if revisited, realized in partial and fragmented ways. Resistance, interpreted by subversion, opposition, or mimicry. Resistance is also related to ideas like liberty, identity, individuality, and human freedom. Hybridity, it is a sense that both colonized and colonizing culture have changed by colonialism. Hybridity is related to the cross-fertilization of culture that can be seen as enriching as well as oppressive. Okay, and we have got another slide that talks about the literary theory, basic ideology. I think I have to skip this because it takes much time. I think I have to close. Am I right, madam? Shall I rush through because we've got the other part to follow? So here we'll move to, here in this slide, we are talking about new criticism. What is the belief and characteristics, what it says is good, good literature is. And second one is feminist criticism. What is feminist criticism and what feminist criticism says good literature is. Marxist criticism, postmodern, post-colonial eco-criticism. What are the aspects, what are the features of this literature, and what are the things that these critics think good literature is? That is what is discussed here. And we'll just move into what is research publication. So what is research publication? This is the second part which I'm going to move. What can we do through research publication? Why should we publish? Why should we make research publications? Through research publications, research findings, including its scientific and practical contributions, are shared and disseminated to others in a particular field. In this field, it is literary findings. Okay, and publications can also be regarded as an asset that enables authors to gain recognition and acknowledgement as experts in a particular field. Like we find something and we should gain importance. We should make sure that we gain some importance. This is what is needed as far as research publication is concerned. We find something, we should be recognized, we should be acknowledged, we should be given due respect for what we have done. This is how we can see. We'll have some ideas. We'll come out with some ideas. Unless until we share those ideas with others, we'll not be able to find what it is all about. And what where it should be published. It should be published in journals of literature and language, as far as we are concerned. And how to publish a research paper in international journals. So this is the form. First of all, you should complete the research. In literature, you should complete the research. What are you going to research about? What is it all about? What is your idea? What is your about a particular text or a particular field, or what is the theory you're going to adapt to, criticize, or examine this text? These are all the things you have to research. After that, with that background or without schema, with that schema, you have to prepare the manuscript. And once the manuscript is prepared, you have to rewrite it, you have to revise it by yourself, and you have to submit the manuscript as per the prescribed norms. And after that, when you submit, your manuscript gets reviewed by reviewers or peer reviewers or double-blind reviewers. There are a lot of kind of reviews there, and they'll give the decision. You have to revise this text, or this article is accepted, or this article is rejected. Once it is rejected, you have to redo it and submit it once more as a fresh piece of submission. Or once it is accepted, you have to wait for its publication. And if you are given some suggestions with which you have to carry out, for example, they'll give you language correction, they'll give you some calculative correction, they'll give you some they will advise you some changes. You have to do those things. This is what you call as changes that made, and after that it is published. And for example, how you understand a poem, how you understand, how you write a research article. First of all, you have to understand a poem. Let us take a poem for example. You have to understand it. How you can understand it? You have to understand it to in this particular way. You have to understand the structure of the poem. You have to understand the connections it makes. You have to understand the meaning, point of view, there is perspective, the connotation, the denotation, symbolism, allegory, mood, plot, character, and setting. Like all those things you have to analyze, understand, and identify the theme of the poem. After identifying the theme, you have to select the literary devices you are going to use for the criticism. And then you have to formulate the thesis or formulate the paper, and you have to structure your paper, edit and proofread, and you can submit it later. And these are things that are involved as far as the research journals are concerned. So what is a research journal? A research journal is a periodical that contains an article. And there are two types of research journals. One is peer reviewed, the other one is ordinary. A peer reviewed or reference journal, where you have got an editorial board of subject experts who review and evaluate submitted articles before accepting them for publication. What is peer review process? An editorial board asks subject experts to review and evaluate submitted articles before accepting them. Submissions or submitted articles are evaluated using criteria including excellence. It should be excellent in work. It should be novel. It should be significant in the field of research. These are the three. The idea should be novel. And the scholarly journals use this process to protect, because they should maintain the quality of the material they publish. And after that, members of the editorial board are listed. You can find who are all the members, who are all the scholars that are found in the editorial board that is listed in the journal issue. And what style you should follow. As far as English is concerned, you have got a style that is Modern Language Association MLA handbook, which proposes how to write a research article and how to present. In the MLA handbook, it offers the style in which you have to write. A research paper represents the ideas of the person who writes it. You should write it in simple words. Writing a research paper in the domain of linguistics is very different compared to writing research articles in other domains. Research usually means finding something new, a substance, a formula, or invention. For example, if you are doing research on Shakespeare and you say that Shakespeare is a good playwright. Everyone has done that. Now people say that we live in a no Shakespeare era, because whatever you say in as far as Shakespeare is concerned, it has been researched in depth, and that has been like threadbare analysis has been made in all the fields, all the forms of criticism. So it should be a new it should have a new substance, a new formula, a new invention, or new kind of finding, a new method you should use. These are the things that makes your research article easily publishable. Literary works means finding something new within a literary work. And what are the basics of literature? Now, the literary genres you have. Writing papers on literature requires more homework. Requires using skills you've inherited during the previous courses of English literature. What are the skills? One such skill is using your research, whatever you read in your research methodology paper. Research paper is supposed to be written of high standard, because we belong to the English language and literature field. So the high standards are expected from the papers as far as the papers from English literature students and faculty members are concerned. The topic chosen for English literature research must not be covered or researched before. It should be new. It should be an original one. Choosing a topic, selecting the writers and genre, like selecting the writer is important. Selecting the genre is also important. The author, first of all, has to go. For that, you have to go through the prominent available writing in English literature. And references of bibliography written by eminent scholars may be introduced there. English literature paper includes introduction, your arguments to cover in-depth analysis of topic chosen by you, and followed by conclusion. Your conclusion must be showing that there should be some kind of further research can be done in that. And how to write a research paper in English literature. Reviewing previous writings, that's must, like which you called as the history of review of literature. It should be there. Like if I am doing some research on, for example, Rita Dow's poem, I should review. I should find what are the other writers' view. That is what you call as secondary sources. You should find whether secondary sources are available for the research, and what is their point of view. We have to look into it, and you have to the topics can be chosen from literature reviews as like for example, if you just review a particular work, you can find the particular work has a lot of feministic point of view. It has got eco-critical point of view. A lot of postmodern elements are there. Likewise, you can choosing the topic will be very easy for you. And the article should follow the format as prescribed by MLA 8th edition. Now we have got 9th edition. People are saying that we have to follow 9th edition. The work must be free of grammatical or typographical error. It should be proofread and sent before. It should be proofread, and it should be incorporated. The mistake should be corrected before going for submission. It's a tougher task to carry out, but it is as interesting as it is fun. When you start writing papers, it becomes an addiction. And plagiarism checking is mandatory. That is, no cut paste should be there. It should be original. So there are softwares that check plagiarism quite often. And as far as journalism publication procedure is concerned, prepare your manuscript with good quality. Check your article in plagiarism checker. Change your article to journal format. This is I've taken in from a scientific journal. So IEEE format for us. We have got a format from each for each journal. It will be prescribed there. You can have it from the journal's website and submit the article and bibliography to your preferred journal. The login username password will be provided by the journal. Editors will review the manuscript. Editors' assessment of reviews, correct the reviews and submit it in record time. Once it is submitted, after the changes are made, it is accepted, and within a short period, the article gets published. And in this era, as far as academicians are concerned, there is a rule which is followed world over. I think the faculty members of our department would know, we are in an era where we have to publish. And there is a saying which says that publish or perish. If you don't publish in the academic area, you will just perish. You will just move. That is what is talked about. What is the format of a research paper? It should have an introduction. It should follow some methods and methodologies, and it should carry some results, and there should be a discussion and conclusion. Before that, there should be information about the author, the title, the abstract, and the keywords should be there. Introduction should give you the answer for the question why. The methodology, how you are going to do is what do you call as methodology, and what gives you the result, what is the finding gives you the result. So what is the what is the consequence? So what gives you the discussion and conclusion. And after that, you have to give the references at the end of the book. These are the different gender roles, topics which you can use for gender roles, comparison, contrast, address political inherent, using debate, religious context, discussion, criticism on a particular novel, examine important symbols, link between different authors, compare two different or similar novels can be used there. As far as introduction is concerned, you have to be very particular. Like you can move from general to particular. You can use this structure, or like you can start with the background, which is not closely related to your work. It is distantly related. For example, you're talking about like God of Small Things. You can talk about the history of Indian writing, and then you can move to closer. That is the narrowing categories. You can talk about women's right, women's novelist in India, and the third thing, the research category, like post-colonial elements in God of Small Things. So this is how you can narrow it down. Background is you give a very larger background. You can narrow it down by so that your entry into your research topic will be easier, and then you can directly jump into your ideas. And for example, I am just giving you how a particular text can be interpreted in different ways. I've taken to discussion 3 different writings, one from Salman Rushdie, the other from Jan Martel, the third one from Robert Frost. Okay, here we can see Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children. You can interpret that using postmodern technique. What is postmodern technique? You've got magic realism there. It says that children born in the midnight of 15th August 1947 have special qualities. So this is a magic reality. They, according to that novel, they have got special qualities. They can be the people who are born in India or Ooty or Kodaikanal or even Pakistan or Bangladesh. They possess different qualities. That is why the title says Midnight's Children. So there you have magic realism there. And the narration, and as far as post-colonial technique is concerned, you've got narration. Narration is entirely different. You've got political, you've got camouflaging. Like you can see somebody using a different name, business people who are camouflaging. For example, a person uses a Hindu name for his shop, but actually he is a Christian. And likewise, it is polyolithic. It is not about the Indian culture. It talks about people from Pakistan, talks about people from Bangladesh, and it talks about the cultures of India, or even from Tamil Nadu. And the language hybridity, he talks about a lot of ideas, like uses new terms like invention of words like chutnification. Chutney, you know what chutney is? Uses the word chutnification. That is what you call as a form of hybridity or innovation in language. And I'm using these 3 works because most of you would have been very familiar with these works. Second one is Life of Pi. There is magic realism there. You see a floating island there. There is man eating leaves are there, and one such leaves that are cut. It shows that 32 leaves are there, 32 teeth are there. That shows that that particular tree has eaten a man. That is why it has got 32 leaves. And the post-colonialist, it talks about migration, talks about settlement, talks about space, it talks about diaspora and such things. And how to submit, I'll just talk about the author guidelines. Like this is how you will be asked to submit. File format, that is Word format, font type, font size and title, font size for the abstract, font size for keywords, font size for text, fonts margins, range of words for the abstract, range of keywords, range of word limit for the article, style sheet, ML sheet, 8th edition, 9th edition. And this is the front page of journal, which shows that it is approved by UGC, it is abstracted and indexed in Ulrich, USA, and it has got an impact factor. And I am one of the members of the editorial board there. My name is there. And the impact factor of a journal is being it shows the quality of a journal. For example, if an impact factor is more than 4 or 4.5, it is said that the journal has a good quality. This journal has an impact factor of 5.25. A lot of journals, there are Humpty number of journals that has got recognition by UGC. But right now, there is a list that is produced by the UGC University Grants Commission that is called the UGC CARE list. That if you are ready to publish in that, that is accepted for publication for thesis and other things like that. And the next thing, this is how you can start your work. This is how you can apply. You can apply research theories, literary theories in your research, and this is how you can do your work as far as this literary writing or writing an article in research journals are concerned. Jacques Derrida says that there is nothing outside the text. Whatever you see is inside the text. So that is what deconstruction is all about. There is nothing outside the text. There is inside the text. There is within the context. That is with whatever the writer thinks. Even if it is psychoanalytical, it is brought into the text. That is why Jacques Derrida, if it is biographical, he has brought into the text. If it is psychoanalytical, is brought into the text. If it is textual, it is in the text. If it has a context, it is inside the text. There is nothing outside the text. That is what he says. And Jacques Derrida, who is a modern day living critic, and he is compared to Sigmund Freud as one of the greatest psychological writers, psychology critics, as far as the literary scene is produced. And with these words, I would like to thank you. Thanks, one and all. Thank you for the Department of English. Thank you for our faculty members. A special thanks to our principal, and my sincere thanks to all the participants who have spared the time, because I think that it's an afternoon, and talking about critical theories is a bit more, not much more encouraging, but this time now we have to make it. I wholeheartedly thank everyone. I thank the organizers, the coordinators, Dr. Enola, Dr. Sumati, and the convener, Dr. Angeline Madam, and patron, Dr. Lakshmi Madam, who is the principal of this college. And thank you so much, Dr. Saktivel sir, for your nice introduction. Thank you, Karthikeya, Jyoti, for your technical support. Thank you, Vishnu for your technical support. And thank you all the faculty members, and thank all the people who have been participating in this from our college and from other colleges. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Department of English, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all. Sir, really, this is a wonderful and excellent and enlightening and informative session, sir. The great salute to you, sir. I would like to call Dr. K.M. Sumati, ma'am, to propose vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, madam.
Can you
Please
hear
proceed.
me?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Good afternoon, dear friends. With great honor and pleasure here, Dr. K.M. Sumati, Assistant Professor of English, M.V.M. Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, proposes vote of thanks for this one-day online webinar on Introduction to Literary Theories and Application of Literary Theories in Research Articles, organized by ENGFEST, Department of English. Let me thank first and foremost our beloved dear Madam Principal and erudite scholar, Dr. D. Dhanalakshmi, for encouraging us to organize this online webinar. This topic holds relevance ever in the field of English literature, and without making the study of literary theories, the degree is incomplete. Once again, I thank our dear Madam Principal for giving us opportunity to conduct such informative research program. Thank you, dear Ma'am. I personally thank our kind and exuberant dear Madam Dr. Angeline, Head of the Department of English, for supporting us morally in all aspects. Thank you, dear Ma'am, for your valuable suggestions. At this juncture, I take this opportunity to thank our resourceful and magnificent dear Madam and organizer of this program, Dr. Enola Aruchelvi Parvada, Associate Professor of English, for creating ENGFEST Research Forum. She is very thoughtful, and her initiatives towards the conduct of today's program is flawless and efficient. Thank you, dear ma'am. It gives me immense pleasure to thank our versatile, determined, and zealous resource person, Dr. M. Rajaram, Assistant Professor of English, M.V.M. Government Arts College for Women, Dindigul, for covering the wide topic in a very short span. Sir, the session was brainstorming, spellbound, and thought-provoking. It was highly informative, and kindly do share your PPT. Thank you, dear sir.
Thank you, madam. Sure.
I'm very much delighted to thank Dr. M. Shaktivel, Assistant Professor of English, who does comparing very lively and courteous. Thank you, dear sir. My special thanks to technical coordinators, Mrs. Karthika Jyoti and Vishnu Priya, who have taken meticulous effort in the preparation of the brochure and recording the program and making the program very technically enhanced. Thank you, dear friends. I extend my very sincere thanks to each and every individual faculty who stood behind the screen and made this online webinar very effective. Thank you, dear colleagues, for your time-bound, selfless effort which made possible everything in the department. Students are real beneficiaries. I don't want to thank the students for attending the webinar. Instead, on behalf of the students, I would like to thank the organizer and the resource person for offering such enlightening research session for the students. Thank you, dear Ma'am, Dr. Enola and Dr. Rajaram. Once again, thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Once again, on behalf of the Department of English, I thank our beloved principal, our beloved head of the department, coordinators, faculty members, guest faculties, students of literature, and other participants from other colleges. Thank you all.
Dear students, kindly fill up the feedback forms. Thank you.